Welcome back to the session, everybody. And Mark, over to you.
Fantastic. And good afternoon, good morning to everyone joining today. It's been a great event so far. I've been watching the sessions and let's get straight into it. My name is Mark Szulc. I'm a product marketing manager and evangelist for Adobe across the APAC region. Today, we're going to talk about the future of digital asset and work management and share with you some ideas and thoughts that might get you excited and might help you plan out for, future engagement. So, asset management is not new to me. I think Andrew Lomaz just introduced me a while back as an old friend. I hope he didn't refer to the fact that I'm old, but, this is a photo of me, a dorky photo of me in 2002, where I was very proudly standing in front of a big, large disk array and a tape management environment. And to me back then, that was digital asset management. I was working with a company that was producing a lot of print-based catalogs, and we were archiving those projects. We were making sure that we could retrieve them if there was any legal risk. And while all those things are still valid today, a lot has definitely changed. And so, if we think about consumer experience, this is the end goal, of course, for all of us. We're thinking about the experiences we create. Back in 2002, lots of print, lots of very minimalistic web experiences. Fast forward today, experience isn't just about a static, experience like a website or a print piece of material. It's about the journey. And it's about having the right content at the right time, no matter where I am on that journey, whether it's the homepage of your brand, whether it's a subsection of the site, or even part of your service. And you can see here content within, Adobe Photoshop and in mobile apps, etc. Now, the reality is when we're starting to produce this is that the way we think about asset management needs to potentially evolve. And, 20 years ago, DAM to me was all around, a very cost-saving thing. Can I save money by retrieving an asset rather than recreating it? And can I make sure that the brand is being reinforced? But moving DAM into this, unleashed aspect where we're really thinking about DAM 2.0 or even 3.0, where we start to think about execution and really being at the hub of that experience, tech stack. The idea here is that we really need to think about what consumers expect today. And the last 2 years have really changed the expectations. Digital used to be something that we kind of had to do. Now we must do. The expectations, and you can see the quote here from a recent digital trend study that Adobe commissioned in February this year. 82% of practitioners have observed the change of customer journeys. And the expectation is that it's not just a customer journey. You need to stand out. You need to be relevant, and therefore you need to be personalized. So with the goal around delivering personalized experiences, we have some challenges that, quite frankly, are still there from 20 years back around the way we work with assets, not just in the context of an asset management environment, but the entire content lifecycle. You can see the manager on the diagram here in the start saying, happy days, let's start a new campaign, but very quickly going into this very expensive chaos around, what asset am I using? And, is it the right version? Yes, it is. It's the final PSD. Oh, wait, there's a revision. It's now the final PSD. And there's another change. We'll put a 2 next to it. And now it's late and I've got the wrong file. And all of this chaos, slows me down as far as being able to go and deliver on that goal of delivering personalized experiences. Everyone knows they want to do it. Everyone agrees that it's hard, and we need to reinvent the way we go about this. Now, we all know this. If you're at a digital asset management conference, you know that the scale of assets is getting crazy busy. This is an example from one of our customers that has 1,000 products. And you would think 1,000 products, 1,000 assets. Then you think on average, there's 25 assets per product. There's, different viewpoints of that product. There's product in use where I've got, someone holding the product, etc. And then when you start to then regionalize that and say, okay, well, the person holding it doesn't make sense for that particular market. I need to go and reshoot and make that relevant. You're very quickly scaling into 1,000 products into 375,000 products cut up for the right channels, the right formats, etc. So that's a lot, and we need to think about that. But let me tell you, we're not done, because we need to think about the new wave of personalization. There's a whole wave of intelligence coming back from our digital channels now about the individual that's consuming this experience. And what do we know about them? Are they a completely new person to our brand? Are they someone that is coming back quite often, is very, focused on what they're after? And so we have now an opportunity, and for the first time, the information flowing back through the tool chain to say, what types of content, what types of assets do I need to produce in order to serve up the needs of those particular consumers at the end of the tool chain there. So never ever have I had that opportunity to go and create all these content, but of course there's challenges with that. So first of all, the good news is there's a lot of things we can now take for granted. So first of all, cloud native solutions. We're kind of done with handing over software. The idea is that you can quickly go and operate and use a service by just logging in, not worrying about what version am I on, upgrades, security, things like that. Cloud native solutions allow you to take advantage of the end value rather than running software. At the same time, and we're grateful for this in the last 2 years, distributed access. We've mentioned the word cloud a few times today, but the fact that, that photo that I showed you, that whole infrastructure was in the building where the creative people needed to access the images because of, local network requirements. Now, it doesn't matter where I'm in the world, I can go and just work as if I was sitting right next to the infrastructure. Automation, I'll talk about, and we go through some time, but again, this is not integration projects that take 6 to 12 months. This is configuration and being able to go and leverage integrations and other sources. And of course, we're working in real time now. You can reach out and say hi to me if you want in the chat, but that's the expectation as far as the way we work now. It's not, a very staggered approach where I do something, I hand it over. We can be in the moment and working on things. So if we take this for granted, then let me delve into 3 areas where we can now raise this up and make the experience even better. The first one I want to talk about is connecting the content lifecycle. Asset management is obviously a key part of this, but we really need to be able to link strategy, where we're planning what we're trying to do, like why are we investing in producing content in the first place, with the orchestration of the content, and then finally into the delivery. Now, the brands that do this really well, and especially in the pandemic where we had to turn around on a dime and go and deliver things that made sense for that point in time, it all comes down to alignment and making sure that everyone is on the same page as far as the objectives and the delivery. If you don't get this right, well, then you're setting yourself up for some pain. The brands that had the orchestration and delivery lined up without the strategy piece had a lot of challenges around, duplicating their effort, running meetings, going back and forth and saying, I've got this content. Does it line up with your content? Does it, is it scheduled to be in the right order? Am I working on the right thing at the right time, or am I wasting time? So we can overcome that. And at the same time, if we get our strategy lined up and our content orchestration, but not our delivery, then we run the risk of not being able to tap into that richness around delivering a personalized experience and making sure that we can deliver the right content and feed that back into the content production phase, where I know what audiences are asking for and I can make sure I accommodate that in my content creation. So linking all these 3 things combined is the idea of linking your asset management system with your creativity tools. And those 2 aren't enough. We need to bring in the aspect of work management to make sure that we've got the strategy in place together with our asset management capability and our creativity. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on what Adobe is doing today. You can come and talk to us about that. But, we've made this investment around our creative tools, our creative cloud, linking it with Adobe Experience Manager, our asset management capability, and then combining that with an acquisition we made in 2020 called Workfront, that allows you to really stitch together all these parts as you're going through this experience making journey. The idea that I've got one tool that's very persona focused. If I'm in the Creative Cloud tools, I can see everything I need. If I'm in the asset management tool, I see everything for that persona, and same thing for the planning. So that leads me to the second part here around increasing content intelligence. So obviously this is an asset management event. We need to talk about metadata. it's an exciting thing because it really helps us understand exactly what all that investment in assets that we've got, how do I get to it? How do I find it? How do I know what I can use? The idea is that we need to think about not just a point in time, but for every single part of the production process, how do we link metadata to actually expand the value of it? Ultimately, if we get this right, as we go through this in stages, as Andrew mentioned, right up front in one of the first sessions, it's not about what metadata you capture, it's about what questions you can answer. And so if you look at this now, the goal is not to just, invest time in taxonomies and making sure the structure's right. That's super important. I've spent a lot of effort in that. But it's equally, disheartening when you see a lot of just metadata fields being left blank and not entered because we get busy and people miss it. So the Nirvana state here is we automate the assets or the metadata entry so that we can answer these questions like, why did we create this image in the first place? Well, it was linked to a project that was trying to deliver a campaign targeted to a new audience. Great. What is it and what color is it? Is it brand compliant? One of the biggest problems with asset management is these dark assets. I really know we ran a really successful campaign last year. I know there was a girl running down the road in the rain and I can't find the asset, right? Rich metadata allows us to go and find those assets and repurpose it. Now, again, it comes down to who is in the image. I could be really good with my tracking process and make sure I put in the link to the agency and the talent that I'm using. Or with machine learning now, we can not identify the individual, but reference the fact that we've got the same talent in 5 different images and being able to find those assets very quickly. On the right-hand side, some other things. Where was it used? Which channels? How well did it perform? And not just, how many people saw the image, but did it resonate with one particular audience versus another? And then finally, if I need to recreate it, how much does this type of asset take me in effort, as well as production time and cost to go and reproduce? So the idea here is we get to this connected end-to-end content lifecycle where we're really looking at stitching everything together across the different stages. But the real value here is the metadata, not just automating it within the tool set. Of course, there's value around bringing project data along for the ride as you go through the entire process, but bringing back analytics data, CDP data, customer data platform, bringing that information back into the asset so I know what assets resonate with what individuals. Leveraging machine learning, such as smart tagging, being able to recognize the subject matter of the asset, the products used, the color of it to make sure it's compliant, and many more things along the way. So while I'm saying this is futuristic, at the same time, we have many customers that are doing this in practice. And I'm going to give everyone a little bit of extra activity to do after the event today. This is a story from Under Armour that you can go and click on the link and watch. The idea is that Under Armour are using this tool chain to stitch together their product information, their creative brief, bringing that into metadata to create a project folder structure with all the metadata already applied. As they upload assets directly from Photoshop, it's already tagged with all the rich content. They go through their approval process, and then those same assets are now sent to a dynamic media process where it cuts it up. It creates, crops for the right aspect ratio, the right renditions for the right time, and delivers it out to the platforms that are needed for consumption, but also into a brand portal where they can go and log in and access it from an agency and partner perspective. So, highly streamlined there and worth checking that out. And I'll bring that link back up later on. Which brings me to point 3, and that is around leveraging content automation. So I've got my foundation, I've got my metadata, I've got everything wired up, we're all working on the same page. But of course, there's so many mundane tasks that we still need to do. And, working with creatives over the years, we all know that they hate doing mundane tasks. I know personally, I hated doing even just background removal. And so the idea here is to think about, well, where is the opportunity to optimize our costly production effort and going from these manual steps into a very AI automated experience where I can really ramp up the velocity and go from creative and sourcing into experience in a super fast way. Now, to give an example of this, a lot of the things we now take for granted on our mobile devices as we're taking photos and correcting them can now be applied into a asset management workflow. And so, the video I'm showing you here is what I used to sit in front of Photoshop and do day in, day out. And it'll be, fairly expensive to pay someone to sit there and manually remove things. Now, of course, we've made it faster in Photoshop, but why do I even need to use Photoshop at all? So here is now the DAM view where I'm actually taking the assets, putting them into a folder, all the metadata, et cetera, is being applied, but it's actually transforming these assets. So if we zoom in on one particular asset, removing the background, looking at all the different aspect ratios I've created, looking at the different ways that we want to style this for, stock and social needs, and even then being able to go and add dynamic elements to it. So based on personalization, based on particular logos, being able to go and add that on the fly, and saving a tremendous amount of time here and therefore cost allows me to get to market faster as far as the way that I'm producing this. So lots of innovation there around the way that we're automating our content and getting it ready for delivery. Now, again, an example customer is Dell. Again, you can link and watch this entire story, but Dell were talking not just about the way they're using metadata, and you can see a couple of examples here where they've, taking all of their products and bringing them in and being able to, very quickly search by product number and find the assets, but doing things such as thinking about the production effort. If you look closely, you'll see that they've got screen coordinates here for every model or every device that has a screen. They've actually mapped that out, allows them to take a whole bunch of different laptops and monitors, etc., and very quickly go and swap out the screen content into something that's unified and personalized for the region that it's going out to and for the end consumer. So I love the phrase in the video mentioned, metadata is money. It's saving the money and it's making the money by a better experience for the consumer. So, three things there around the connection, the intelligence, the automation. That's what we really should be thinking about building into our plan, whether we're starting from scratch now or over the next few years, building that out. But the idea is you can start small, but really think about how you're aligning your strategy, your orchestration, and your delivery. Now, the brands that I shared with you are big brands, but we've got a lot of customers who are working, at a departmental size as well, but still getting the benefits of these areas, higher productivity, faster asset creation and getting into market faster. These are the real things that become valuable to the brand, and the asset management capability comes along for the ride and gets those efficiencies. So that's all I've got time for today. I hope this session was really valuable to you. There's a couple of links there to the sessions I called out from Dell and Under Armour. Of course, we have the Forrester Wave if you're interested in what analysts say about Adobe and the asset management space. But come and join us in the virtual booth if you want to discuss in more detail, either live today, that'd be great, or my contact details are at the bottom left of the slide. But I'll hand it back at this time. Thank you very much for joining my session.